Close enough though. We got plenty. Okay, we are going live. And we are live. Okay, welcome back everybody to DM Talks, where DMs talk about random stuff, as best described. So, today we're going to keep it simple, mostly focus on game mechanics and just what's in the Dungeon Master's Guide.
We're stepping off the anti-magic soapbox.
Yes. And we're going to touch on a few questions that have been asked on our Facebook page, and we'll go from there. So, roll for initiative. 14.
17.
Ah, dang it.
19.
Dang it. Okay, fine. What color do you want?
I will be red.
Okay.
Blue.
Sounds good. So, Russ, you start.
Okay. I guess I'll just take one of Merlin's questions.
One of those two. That one or that one.
Let's see, we've already asked that question. No, actually, no. I do have a question that was brought up. I believe it was after our Christmas live stream that I wanted to address on camera, and it is how do you guys handle people trying to seduce monsters? This is a common problem in a lot of Dungeons and Dragons campaigns. None of the ones that I've ever DM'd, but
The bard trying to seduce everyone.
Exactly.
I would probably say if the monster finds the bard type attractive, then maybe it could work. But if that type of monster isn't attracted to an Aarakocra or a Kenku or an elf, like an orc would not be attracted to an elf, it'd be like, I'm gonna eat you. So it's like, if it were like possible, then maybe, but overall probably not.
If it makes some sort of sense, then maybe. I don't think a human bard is going to be able to seduce a beholder.
Ugh. Or a dragon, for that matter.
Or a dragon, yeah.
The dragon will just think you're tasty and eat you.
It'd be more like trying to wiggle your way out. What's that word called? It's I can't even think of the word. But yeah, just like wiggle your way out with your charisma more than seduction.
Yes. Agreed. I feel like people overuse that joke, and if they were to actually think about it logically, it makes no sense. I mean, Dungeons and Dragons, I guess, logically doesn't make a whole lot of sense anyways, but like, we really don't need to add the bard to that.
I've had bards try to seduce fountains, guys. This is getting a bit far.
Not happening.
Actually, I think that was a wizard, not a bard.
It was a wizard. It was not my wizard.
Your wizard?
In case anyone was wondering, I was not there for that game.
Okay. Sound good?
Yep.
Answered?
If it makes sense, then it could work. If it doesn't make sense, then probably not. Even with a natural 20, I'd probably say not happening.
Exactly.
Okay, brings it to you.
Alright, can I take one of Merlin's questions?
Sure.
Oh.
Pictures.
Actually, there is one question I'd like to answer for Merlin. How is poison implemented in the game, and how can it be improved or worked with? Because I've noticed a lot of poisons in the game don't deal any damage at all. Instead, just give you disadvantage, just gives you the poisoned condition where you're just disadvantaged for a few turns, and you can just easily get over it with a Constitution save.
Well, I mean, if you think about poison in real life, a lot of things that are considered like poisonous really just end up giving you like
making you sick.
Yeah, making you sick. So it makes sense that a lot of poisons don't necessarily deal damage, because those would be considered more of a deadly poison.
And acid.
And acids.
Then there's the poisons made to kill people.
Yes.
Like off the top of my memory, the only poisons I can think of that deal damage would be the drows poison they put on their weapons and the potion of poison item.
Yeah.
It's just, I feel like there could be a bit more variety and a bit more use on that.
See, there's a difference between poison and venom. Venom would deal more damage because what that is doing inside of you is it's coagulating your blood. So then your blood is not actually moving how it should. And so the venom in and of itself would probably deal a little bit of damage just because it's trying to push coagulated blood through small little veins and vessels.
Yeah. Which is, for example, an example of that would be all the scorpiotypes in Kal'Jaru use a venom instead of a poison because they inject it into someone directly.
Yeah, and the difference between poison and venom is poison is ingested,
Venom is
injected. Injected. A lot of people don't know that, so we had to clarify that. Took me a long time to figure that one out. So yeah, poison, it honestly really isn't that effective in the game because a lot of poisons really don't do anything except make you sick. And most poisons don't even make you sick for several hours. Like, it usually takes a while for it to get into your system.
Like alcohol.
Yeah, it's kind of like alcohol.
It is exactly like alcohol, that's what it is.
Yeah, alcohol is poison. But, so yes, constitution saves. If you have a high enough constitution, then yeah, poison really doesn't have much effect on you. Because the poison has to go all through your system in order to actually affect the specific parts of the body that it's supposed to affect. Now we're getting into anatomy.
Whoopee.
So yeah, what do you think of poison and its current implementation in the game? I've never really used poison.
Not really, other than when harvesting, but that's venom, harvesting venoms off of monsters and using it for adding it to weapons.
Yeah.
But other than that, that's really all I've used it for. I've never played or been in a group where they've used poisons trying to sneak it into someone's food.
So now here brings up another question of mine that ties into this. So what do you do if a player character is trying to make like a super poison, something that kills and kills fast, something that most players or NPCs wouldn't have any kind of resistance to? So how would you handle a player trying to make a poison or an extremely effective poison?
Well, the thing they would have to take is venom. They would have to take the venom, so it would have the same effect as venom. Most poisons just paralyze you in a sense. You have disadvantage. It makes you hard to move, like a regular poison would do. It coagulates. But I don't know.
I would probably just have them follow the same rules as making a magic item, but making a potion of poison.
It just ends up as a potion of poison.
Yeah, and then you could simply just have them. They have to be proficient in like herbalist kit or I believe alchemist kit is
to be able
tools.
to
be able to make it
and make this poison. So if I had a
I think
character
there's
that
actually
wanted,
a poisoner's kit too.
so.
That might be in a homebrew's book, but
no idea.
maybe.
So if I wanted to, let's say I had a character that wanted to make D&D equivalent of cyanide, going through herbalism, things like that to make it, but then how would you calculate damage? Because in our world, cyanide kills in about 15 minutes.
Then it would probably be pretty high.
Actually, not really. Because if you think about it, every round of damage is only 6 seconds. So cyanide in D&D would actually be a pretty slow death.
Mm-hmm.
And thanks to a lot of healing magic and healing potions.
Yeah, I can see, now that I'm thinking about it, I can see why poison's taking a back step. Because when you have characters and, like say, a high-ranking NPC, you have access to clerics and people, and removing poison isn't that difficult.
No, it's
I
not.
mean,
Especially for paladins.
Paladins can do it at level 1, straight up.
Poisoner's kit right there.
No, it is.
50 gold pieces. Right next to thieves' tools.
So I guess to answer that question, it's implemented, but it's implemented not as strongly as we would have it here because in D&D there's a much easier and fast cure for said poison.
Exactly.
And then you have to, and to make it any effective, you have to start dealing with magic and cursed potions, and so on and so forth, and it gets complicated.
So, probably overall, poison just gives you disadvantage.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe does a little bit of damage if it's like a little
Stacking potions, stacking poisons.
I would probably go with the potion effect if you mix potions. Except I would probably take out the explosive part.
No, I mean like you poison someone's food or drink with multiple poisons at once. So they drink it, now they have 5 poisons going through their system.
At that point, I'd probably just like start giving them like disadvantage on skill checks.
Kind of like giving them levels of exhaustion.
Kind of like the levels of exhaustion, like can't see very well, things like that. Just
based on what kind of poisons they put in, probably.
Yeah. Because you could specifically say, I want to make a poison to like
Paralyze
or to blind them or deafen them, because there are poisons that can target specific parts of the body, and they've just generalized it as it gives you disadvantage on attack rolls, which could mean you are blind, you are deaf, you are whatever.
So DMs, have fun with this.
And players, just throw that into a DM. I'm gonna make my own poison.
Resolve?
Pretty much. I mean, I don't know of any class that's proficient in Poisoner's Kit, so you'd have to basically take a feat or be a human to get it.
Or take in-game years to learn how to do it.
Depending on your intelligence, you can actually learn it in a matter of months.
So in short, either take a feat, take the time to learn it, or
be a human.
Be a human.
Just be a human. It solves all of your problems in D&D. Everyone makes fun of it, but then they came out with Tasha's Cauldron and turned everyone into a human, so...
Yeah, pretty much. Okay.
Alright, Alan.
Resolved. My question, going off of Merlin's, I actually had this question, is thoughts on experience points. Either milestone or the normal experience points in here. I'll actually look it up. While you guys talk, I'm going to look up how it explains experience points.
Okay, so my own personal thoughts on this is a milestone XP leveling is a great starter for when you're just barely starting out. You're starting to figure out the fundamentals of the game and how everything works. It gives your new players that sense of progression. Like, even though they didn't do much this session, they started to accomplish something. My problem with it is it's kind of roadblocks it to do this, accomplish this, or kill this, and you level up, instead of with XP leveling, you get a bit more variety in it. You gain a certain amount of XP for killing a thing or for avoiding the conflict. You can get XP for disarming traps, for expertly maneuvering through political warfare, because that's a nuclear zone.
Yeah, it kind of comes down to how complicated the DM wants to DM. Just for example, I struggle with rewarding experience outside of combat, and so my DMing ends up sounding kind of more like grinding in video games, where you have to go out and kill monsters constantly just to level up. Which, for a lot of the parties I DM, is not a problem, because they like to build characters for killing monsters and not really for roleplay.
A lot of combat oriented.
Exactly. And it makes it really fun if you really enjoy the combat of D&D, which I do, and I like to build my characters for combat. But when it comes to role-playing and rewarding, it is a little bit harder. That's where the milestone does come in handy, is if you're a role-play heavy thing, being able to like basically write out the whole storyline, and when they reach certain almost like chapters, they level up and increase in power, helps.
So one is simpler and makes it easier for you to run things off, especially for role playing, and the other one's a lot more complicated, but it adds kind of adds a bit more realism to it.
Yeah. So in here, in the Dungeon Master's Guide, I couldn't remember if I had the Player's Handbook or the Dungeon Master's Guide. In here, it talks about you take the total of the experience from the monsters and divide it evenly throughout the group. Something that we've done as a tabletop rule is just keep it as a whole and give each player the same amount of experience, because Russell and I, we love metamaxing, and that is the fastest way to metamax. Terrible for role-playing and things like that, but you can crunch numbers so hard, metamax so fast, because we've, in 3 months, we were able to get 2 level 20 campaigns done.
Just one level 20. It was 6 months to get.
6 months to get 2 level 20 campaigns. Like you can go fast. Sometimes if there's not a lot of combat, I'll do the milestone. It's like, good job, you guys. You accomplished quite a bit strategically. If they avoid combat, I'll give them the same amount of experience. A while ago, never mind. That is a spoiler alert. We're not going to do that. Don't want to spoil session like 18 or something. But yeah, I usually don't do the milestones. I usually stick with the experience points. If we want to metamax, I just clump it all together, give each person the same. If I don't want to metamax and we're doing roleplay, I'll just split it up. And then that brings up another question, is allowing characters to gain more experience than the other characters.
I personally don't like doing that just because it makes it really hard for the DM to keep track of what level everybody's at, and a lot of players struggle to keep track of their own experience, and so having one character that's like one person that's really good at keeping track of it is really helpful. Otherwise, the DM has to keep track of everybody's, and it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
Logically speaking, it makes sense to do it that way because people don't grow at the same rate. And if, for example, something that keeps coming up is like going to gladiatorian arenas. If someone's going to be fighting more often than the rest of the party, of course they're going to have higher skill level in combat.
Yeah, and every time I've DM'd, somebody just has to go to the tutorial arenas or...
That happened once, okay?
I know, but in multiple sessions, we've always had somebody want to go and fight somebody else or go and fight a monster for some weird reason. And it's like, okay, you get this much experience, well, nobody else does because they were just sitting there watching you fight it.
Oh, those were the days.
Yeah, but I do like giving that out because it's like, okay, you accomplished something, especially when Mirth. I don't think we've done that either. Spoiler alert again. Never mind. Man, this is hard.
Don't worry, we'll catch up.
We need to crank those videos out because those are good parts.
Oh dear.
Yeah, sorry. Lots of good stuff in the future. Just wait. Okay. Other questions that have been asked on our Facebook. Okay, this one's a good one. Merlin asked...
Thank you so much for all these
yes,
questions.
Merlin asked a lot of questions, and he was the one with us last time for DM Talks. Merlin asked, what is the difference between beast, aberration, and monstrosity? And I mix these up all the time. I had to come up with a simple way to remember it. But what are your guys' thoughts?
So, I'll take beast if you guys don't mind.
Okay.
So beast is basically any creature that is a natural occurrence. So for some worlds, dinosaurs wouldn't be considered a beast if you think about it. If they're not naturally occurring on your planet. For example, Ebron has Talenta, which is full of dinosaurs. So they are definitely a beast.
Let's look up dinosaurs in this.
They are beasts.
They are beasts.
Yes, druids can turn into them, and polymorph works on them. So, dinosaurs, most Dungeons and Dragons games that I've played, dinosaurs are quite prevalent, and so for the most part they are going to end up being beasts. And then, for example, you got like oxen and other normal earth animals that are going to be considered beasts. Monstrosities are basically like altered animals or other things.
Think Frankenstein's monster for that. It's a monstrosity, something that was engineered and made somehow, or it's just not natural. So a chimera wouldn't be a beast, it's a monstrosity because it's a combination of multiple beasts from some kind of accident. Like, I guess another way you can think of it is like the killer bees in South America. Honeybees were they were doing some experimentation with honeybees down there, and they got out and started repopulating with some of the other bees down there, and they mutated into killer bees, which are super aggressive and hurt a lot. So something that would not naturally occur. Like something that nature itself wouldn't eventually make itself, though that can be subjective, would be a monstrosity. And aberrations are just straight up from a twisted universe, just thrown up in the air.
Yeah, so how I like to think of it, like Russell said, natural occurring animals would be considered beasts. Like James said, anything that's kind of mixed, like an owlbear, a death dog, a displacer beast, those are all monstrosities because they're kind of like a normal beast,
but altered in some way, either through experimentation, through unnatural magic, or influence somehow.
Yeah, are dire animals beasts or monstrosities? I think they're monstrosities.
I think so.
So dire
I'm actually checking
creatures?
on owlbear because I was.
Owlbears are monstrosities.
Are they?
Yes. I'm pretty darn sure I looked that up. Just to make sure. Yes, monstrosity. Owlbears are monstrosities.
Okay.
So any of those things, monstrosities. And then aberrations are anything that are not from the material plane. That are not considered like fae or something like that.
They're kind of like existences that defy logic, sort of.
Yeah, so like mindflayers, aboliths.
Basically all aliens.
Yeah, that's how it describes it in the monster manual is aberrations, yes, are alien to the planet.
They do things that don't follow their set rules for the world.
Yes, exactly.
Like psychonics.
Yes, like psychonics of the mindflayers and stuff like that.
Beholders, levitation,
Beholders,
eyes, things like that.
Anything that comes from a different plane is considered either an elemental or an aberration.
Or fae.
Or fae.
Or celestial.
Or celestial.
Or fiend.
Okay, we got really complicated there at the end. I shouldn't have said that. If it's not fae, fiend, celestial, demon, elemental, it is aberration. We'll put it that way. That was really complicated, but that's how we're going to put it. So that was all the questions that Merlin had.
Normally, if it has psychonics, it's an aberration.
Aberration.
Whatever.
Adjuration is a wizard class.
What is what are Gith considered? Are they considered humanoids?
I'm pretty sure Gith are humanoid.
Because they are alien, but they're kind of like alien humans, and they still follow the basic rules of our world, so I guess you can consider that. Mindflayers have their whole psionics, which defies magic and anything else that we know about.
Well, that's the thing
They are humanoids.
Some sort of... Though the other thing is to think about with Gith is that they got their psionics from the Mindflayers. And so, same go with...
And weren't they cast out to the astral plane?
Yeah. They're basically mutated
Elf
and human or something.
They're like astral plane elves.
Pretty much. That's how I see them.
Well, that's the thing, is only one group of them is on the astral plane. The others in the, if you're going off Forgotten Realms, lives in the plane of chaos. Limbo, that's it.
If I remember correctly from Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes, then they all kind of used to live on the astral plane, and then the Gith rose up against the Mindflayers and did that whole revolution. And then they split into two separate groups and having their own giant civil war. So now you have the Gith Yankee and the Gith Zerai.
Yes, and the Gith Zerai are in Limbo.
Mm-hmm.
They're more of the monks.
It was a less destructive French Revolution.
Yes.
Well, I mean, the Mindflayers may disagree with you there.
Yes, they
Who
probably
knows?
would.
Who knows how many Elder Brains were lost in that war?
Oh, don't get us started here. The Mindflayers weren't the heroes of the group.
No.
Not by any means.
But Elder Brains are interesting. You have to acknowledge that.
That is true. They are very interesting. Another topic for another day. But anything else? Any other game mechanics that we should just quickly crank out here?
Simple questions.
What is that one frog monster that plants eggs in your character?
Slaadi.
Slaadi.
What do you guys think about them?
I've never used them, never want to use them because that is just way too dangerous.
It is so horrifying. Yeah, if you want to kill your party, you just need to use one of those, and it will literally kill them in a couple days.
Either it will turn them into a Slaadi, or it will plant an egg in them.
It's straight up alien all over again.
Oh yeah, it is terrifying. Like, even the images are crazy.
Just keep your party out of limbo unless you think they're up to the challenge.
Well, in the artifact theme,
There's a iron
There-
flask that has one.
yeah, or when you're just rolling randomly, one of the major problem things is it summons a slaadi. And it's like, I think it's a death or gray slaadi.
Oh,
so it's like,
Slide.
it's gonna kill you as soon as you attune to this item. Like, you're toast no matter what.
Though the Slaadi did have that interesting mechanic is they have like a gemstone in their brain, and if you can get your hands on that, it's like Sazaz's son Balano and his oath stone. Once you have that crystal, it's kind of your slave at that point.
I haven't read enough about them.
Apparently, we're gonna have to look it up real quick.
Unless I'm forgetting something, because from what I remember, that's what it was.
Every time I see them, I just kind of scroll past really quick.
Right?
Because I'm like,
So it's a
too big.
It'll be an amazing.
Oh, right there. Embedded in the slad's brain is a magic gem. Acquire it, and the slad is yours to command.
So yeah,
That's really
So that'd be
disturbing.
actually that'd be an interesting story thread.
That could be very interesting.
Because I know there are mechanics to grab it. I think some spells can have a chance to instantly get it for you. I can't remember what they are, but I'm pretty sure they're in there somewhere.
I will have to. Oh, that's in the variant rules.
I use most variant rules though. They're way more exciting. Like the variant rule in one of Xanthar's about cleaving through.
Yes.
I like that variant rule. No one ever uses it because every time I pull up kobolds, they always get like converted to a different religion or something.
The imprisonment spell can do it. A wish spell can do it.
Wish spell can do anything.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, that depends on how you word it.
A greater restoration actually destroys the slad.
Oh, that's convenient.
Well, destroys the gem without harming the slad.
Oh.
Never mind. I didn't read the full sentence. Should have read that.
Okay, so now I'm getting a story idea of a villain slowly creating a slab army, and as a last resort, when they're all about to die, just casting greater restoration on all the stones he has, and letting all these slaadi just loose on the world.
That's awful.
Holy cow. So, in order to remove the gem, someone who is proficient in wisdom medicine can remove the gem from an incapacitated slad. Each try requires 1 minute of uninterrupted work and a successful DC 20 medicine check. Each failed attempt deals 22 psychic damage to the slad.
I mean, it's kind of it's surgery. In all honesty, it's surgery.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it isn't an insta-kill.
Right? I mean, it doesn't... how do you incapacitate something?
Balaro's Iron Bands item.
Okay, that's true.
A couple of good web spells.
For a full minute.
I mean...
That's a lot of work for...
Knock it unconscious. Actually, the sleep spell lasts a minute.
Yeah, and they don't wake up until they take damage.
If you have a sorcerer who also has using meta magic, you can make that minute last a lot longer.
So if you're a sorcerer that is proficient in medicine, you can take all of them.
There's also a hold monster.
Hold monster, yeah.
Like we said earlier, poisons or potions that paralyze.
Yeah, you could
So
command monster to like just freeze.
You can
as long as you
wrangle a
don't
lot.
deal damage.
This is actually it's surprisingly doable now that you think about it.
Prepare yourselves.
So
This could get very fun.
DMs, if you want to push your party to the limit, throw some slots at them.
Yes.
Just make sure you have someone who's proficient in
Medicine.
to remove eggs and gemstones.
Or not.
Or not. Just kill them all. Plant slads in them. If you really want to get rid of the whole party, just plant slads in all of them. Have the slads just run off after that point, and then your party's gonna die.
Just like Alien.
Yes.
That'd be crazy.
That's quite gruesome.
So what happens if you kill the host before the egg can fully incubate?
It probably just eats the corpse and doesn't care.
What happens if you just completely destroy the corpse then?
Nothing would happen.
It would probably kill the egg.
So choose parties. Let your entire party die or kill your friend.
Alrighty, that escalated quickly. Alrighty, we're at a half hour. That's all we wanted to do for this one.
A
So,
lot shorter than one.
yes, a lot shorter. So, like, subscribe, go to our Facebook page, follow us. I created a group so that if you want, message us. We'll add you to the group, and you can comment and post and pretty much whatever on there. So, anything else?
No, I don't think so.
Sure we got no more questions?
Nope. I wanted to
Last
keep it
time
to a
you
half
had-
hour. That's why I didn't bring down the whole list. I wanted to keep it to a half hour. Yeah. Have a great day. Happy New Year.
See you all. Let's hope this year goes better.
Yes. Oh yeah. Also, before we end, this new year, our goal is to get out at least 2, if not 3 videos every week. That is our goal. So
Until we catch up.
yes, at least until we catch up, which will take a very long time. That's why I say 3, because if we do 2 at a time, then it's never going to happen. But if we do 2 or 3,
sorry
it
for
should happen.
falling behind on that.
The 3s will probably end up being live streams, though.
Yes. So, that is that. Have a great day. End stream.